Hello YouTube, I am Nathan Martin of the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. And in this video, I'm going to be discussing the importance of objectivity and dialogue. So let's have a conversation. Having a dialogue requires alignment. Alignment is defined as an arrangement in a straight line or in correct relative positions. For example, the tiles had slipped out of alignment. We are only able to hold an objective dialogue with those who we are in alignment with. Attempting to hold a dialogue with those who have completely different mindsets is a fool's errand. Various mindsets that are unable to mesh. Exoteric versus esoteric. Exoteric being externalized, exterior, outside. I say outside in. Esoteric being internal or inside out. Which is cause? Is internal cause or external cause? So exoteric is external is cause. Esoteric is internal is cause. So this is a very different mindset. I am cause from within, or the world around me, including God and gods and goddesses and all those kinds of things are cause over me. It's either I am cause or the external world is cause. Then you have monological versus multilogical thinking. Monological thinking is very one-dimensional. It is one-dimensional logic. Multilogical is multi-dimensional logic. It is the ability to process multiple streams of information and perspectives. It is able to go into a dialogue and consider other perspectives. Third, sophistic or lazy versus fair-minded. Sophistic being the predators, lazy being the prey. The sophists are those who are in control, and the lazy people are those who are the slaves, the slave class. And then you have the fair-minded people. The fair-minded people are those who are neither predatory nor prey. They are those who are really self-reliant. And then answer-driven versus question-driven. An answer-driven person is going to always be trying to give answers. Well, you need to hear this. You need to hear that. Here's my answer. You can't believe you're actually believing this answer. You're stupid. You should have this answer instead. Or even, don't you think my answer is a little better? It doesn't have to be a completely overt douchebag to still be answer-driven. There's some very nice people that are answer-driven. They're just out there giving all their answers to the world that don't ask for the questions. Oh, let me help you with this. Let me help you with that. And they're very answer-driven. Then there's people that are question-driven. Question-driven meaning that they're always asking questions to each other and of themselves. They're examining themselves. They're examining their beliefs. They're examining what they take in as reality around them. They're questioning what they see on TV. They're questioning what they read in the paper. They're questioning what they read in books. They're questioning what they experience. They're questioning each other. The family member comes to you and said, "Dad, I just had a bad day." You say, "Well, why? What happened?" And instead of trying to listen to what happened and then giving an answer, then you go into it more questions. Oh, what do you think, was the cause of that? Why do you think you did that? Why do you think they did that? What was going on in your feelings when that happened? And then you start asking more questions. You're getting to the causes of things. You're asking why questions to find cause. You're asking what questions to find knowledge and information. You're asking how questions to get wisdom. Those with an exoteric, monological, or sophistic lazy and answer-driven mindsets find their alignment through enmeshment, and then the most dominant party asserts their authority over the least dominant parties. This is the essence of hierarchy, pyramidal hierarchy. Those with esoteric, multilogical, fair-minded, and question-driven mindsets find their alignment through recognizing the equality of those giving their opinions, even if those opinions have very little truth contained within them. Through the process of asking questions, the truth can be discovered and deepened into. This is the essence of holarchy. So even if somebody comes to you with an opinion and you start asking them questions, you might find that they don't know a lot about subject material, but you also might be able to dig deeper into their own thought processes, biases, and other kinds of things that could add to the perspective. You don't know what you're going to find when you start digging and asking questions. even if on the surface the person doesn't appear to really know what they're talking about. This is the essence of holarchy. Another word for alignment is unity, collective versus individual unity. If you have an enmeshed unity, where it's more like a figure eight, and then the most dominant party wins, they get to assert themselves in a controlling fashion. And there's always a tug of war in this enmeshed unity. Then you have an individuated unity. An individuated unity is more like a Vesica Pisces and also like a flower of life. Here's a flower of life as a holarchy. And you can see the pyramid topology for a hierarchy, where the all-seeing eye is at the top, and then those underneath are the slaves in service to the top of the hierarchy. It is top down. Holarchy is an equality of sovereign beings working together in an interconnected way. There is a form of unity there, yes, they do work together, but they do so through questions, through being fair-minded. A hierarchical mindset is monological. Monological thinking is conducted exclusively within one point of view or frame of reference. Figuring out how much this $67.49 pair of shoes with a 25% discount will cost me. Learning what signing this contract obliges me to do. Finding out when Kennedy was elected president. A person can think monologically whether or not the question is genuinely monological. For example, if one considers the question, who caused the Civil War, only from a northerner's perspective, one is thinking monologically about a multilogical question. And this is from criticalthinking.org in their Glossary of Terms. A holarchic mindset is multilogical. Multilogical thinking is thinking that sympathetically enters, considers, and reasons within multiple points of view. And that's from criticalthinking.org, the Glossary of Terms. A multilogical problem are problems that can be analyzed and approached from more than one, often from conflicting, points of view or frames of reference. For example, many ecological problems have a variety of dimensions to them: historical, social, economic, biological, chemical, moral, political, etc. A person comfortable thinking about multilogical problems is comfortable thinking within multiple perspectives and engaging in dialogical and dialectical thinking, and practicing intellectual empathy, and thinking across disciplines and domains. Glossary of Terms, criticalthinking.org. So let's look at a holarchy a little bit more. You have the flower of life, and the flower of life is a giant torus. And contained within the flower of life is a lot of small toruses. So you're going to see one main circle with 7 circles inside of it. Those 7 circles are all toroids that make up the large torus. A torus is actually 64 tetrahedron grid. The flower of life and the 64 tetrahedron grid, the mother and father of the geometry of the fabric of space. The flower of life is shown in 2D in this image and is actually a 3D structure like a 64 tetrahedron grid above it. 64 tetrahedrons with a sphere around each tetrahedron, creating a perfectly space-filled 3D flower of life lattice. This same pattern continues inward and outward, both bigger and smaller, towards infinity. It is the theorized underlying geometric structure of everything in the entire universe. When they're talking about a theorized underlying geometric structure, they're talking about fractals. Fractals are how our world replicates. Fractals are how a procedurally driven universe would operate. This is an allusion to the simulation theory that we are actually consciousness living within a simulation. Now, this simulation can be a natural simulation or an unnatural one. That is yet to be discovered, and I'll be doing a video on that a little bit later. Notice that it's a 3-sided tetrahedron and not a 4-sided pyramid. That is a fractal pattern. What is objectivity? A holarchic mindset is objective. There are typically multiple points of view from which any set of events can be viewed and interpreted. Openness to a range of insights from multiple points of view and a willingness to question one's own point of view are crucial to objectivity. Objectivity is achieved to the extent that one has studied a wide range of perspectives relevant to an issue, obtained insights from all of them, seen weaknesses and partiality in each, and integrated what one has learned into a more comprehensive, many-sided whole. Each should serve to correct exaggerations or distortions in the others and to add facts not highlighted in the others. That's really important. It's a self-correcting, integrative system. It's correcting exaggerations, it's correcting imbalances, it's adding facts that aren't highlighted in other possibilities, it's gathering lots of perspectives and synthesizing them into a higher perspective. And that's from Richard Paul and Linda Elder in The Thinker's Guide for Conscientious Citizens and How to Detect Media Bias and Propaganda. Once again, a link is below. Overlapping vision, like a man and a woman, masculine and feminine working together within a human and also within a family, you have an overlapping vision. We share our knowledge, understanding, and wisdom that aligns with our insights, thinking, and vision. We do not require anybody else to agree or align with us, as we write and post for those who are already in alignment with us or who are seeking alternative perspectives to enrich their own personal process. We work with others insomuch as our visions overlap together, but never more, out of respect for their free will to think, feel, and behave as they wish. While we encourage discussion and the sharing of possibilities, it is for the purpose of mutual growth and further insight, but not as a form to degrade others or force opinions, weighted or otherwise, upon them. Whereas a multilogical dialogue encourages further insight, monological debates often spiral into judgments about character, as well as a way to force one's beliefs upon others. Such behavior is not aligned with our vision of objectivity and balance. When we entertain other perspectives or go into a discussion with people, it is an attempt at dialogue, which requires the ability to be objective, sympathetically enter into other possible logical perspectives, and analyze multiple viewpoints at the same time. As Aristotle stated in reference to looking at other possibilities and viewpoints, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Aline and I know what we know because we've entertained many different perspectives, including those of Christians, Gnostics, Satanists, Luciferians, Jews, Kabbalists, witches, scientists, philosophers, statists, socialists, communists, capitalists, globalists, and anarchists, as a means to build a rich and full perspective on life. Entering into a dialogue doesn't require us to agree with their beliefs, logic, or morality, but asks us to sift through their knowledge and reasoning to understand them, ourselves, and the world around us better. This empowers us to form a more balanced and reasonable perspective on our relationship to ourselves and everything around us. Again, the thing that I probably line up with the most is Gnostic, but I'm not any one of these things from an external perspective. And this dialogue doesn't even mean that I have to talk to them personally. This dialogue means that I just read their articles. I read what they write about so that I can understand them better, I can understand their perspectives better, and I can understand myself better as a result of understanding them better. And I can understand myself better and also understand them better as well. I can find myself in any of these things because I also have a dark side. I have a shadow side. We are all capable of things, and we need to find that capability within ourselves and deal with it. We're capable of being narcissistic at times. We're capable of being obsessive compulsive at times. We're capable of being psychopathic at times. We need to really understand ourselves and go into those aspects of ourselves to understand it, and then we'll understand these people better as well. What is dialogical thinking? It is thinking that involves a dialogue or extended exchange between different points of view or frames of reference. Students learn best in dialogical situations, in circumstances in which they continually express their views to others and try to fit others' views into their own. Again, this doesn't mean that you're taking everything that a Satanist says into consideration to believe it, to act upon it. What you're doing is you're seeing how they are interpreting information so that you can understand their interpretations. You're not going to necessarily interpret it the same way, but they might come up with a really good what, some really good information that you hadn't considered before. So while their logic may be way off, they might have a really good what. And I actually find this a lot when I'm looking at videos. There's a lot of videos put out by Christians that have really good what. They're finding and discovering what's going on in the world right now. Now their why leaves a lot to be desired. I do not agree with their why. Their why is very lacking. They use really poor logic to come to their conclusions. They have lots of biases underlying the conclusions that they make. They're not being objective in regards to their logic, but they are being objective in regards to the information that they are digging up in certain ways. And in those ways, I will listen to their information and I will consider it. Dialogical thinking integrates. It is integrative. Contrary to what we may have learned in public schools and mainstream universities, not everything must be about ideas competing in a debate, which is a conflict between two individuals' one-dimensional logic. Rather, it can be about the integration of ideas through things such as Socratic questioning, which is a multilogical dialogue between multiple viewpoints and perspectives. Competition is so ingrained in our society that it's difficult to synthesize ideas into more rounded, objective perspectives, because each perspective must compete with other possible perspectives. It's survival of the fittest monological thinking. If we are true seekers that really want to discover the truth and not just prove our egoic opinions, then we must ask each other questions that will deepen our knowledge and understanding of what is really going on inside and around us, which is integrative, multilogical thinking. Rather than tearing down all of the competing perspectives, multilogical discourse will build both knowledge and understanding through the synthesis of various perspectives. And this expansion is exactly what our world needs to survive and thrive. We share our viewpoints and possibilities with those who are interested in developing and enriching their own perspectives, thought processes, and emotional well-being. We do so by sharing our reasoned judgments that we've cultivated through years of self-reflection, emotional process work, direct experience, and research, all of which results from holding a dialogue with both our inner and outer worlds. A dialogue builds up the overall well-being of the holarchy, of which we are a part, while a debate or argument protects and builds the needs of the hierarchy. We will not debate or argue our information, logic, and conclusions with anybody here or anywhere else. However, we will go into a dialogue with those who are earnestly seeking to broaden their own thinking and worldview, or who are humbly contributing to ours. That means we'll go into questions. We'll ask them questions. They'll ask us questions. We will try to understand the perspectives of each other so that we can create more robust worldviews and perspectives. There is a place for arguments, as long as they are carried out between two parties who are multilogical and fair-minded in their thinking, and as long as they are both able to sympathetically consider the perspectives of each other. A one-dimensional or monological thinker arguing with a multidimensional, multilogical thinker will not benefit either party and is in fact an energy-wasting endeavor for both of them. It is important as a fair-minded thinker to be able to assess whether or not those you are engaging with are capable of meeting you in a dialogue, and if they are not, to be able to swiftly end the conversation. This kind of arguing is called dialectical thinking, and dialectical thinking is just, it can be either monological or multilogical. A monological debate is more like a courtroom, and those two people debating are going to try to win over the other. They're not trying to synthesize information and build up each other's perspectives. No, they're just trying to win from an ego perspective. But if you do it in a multi-dimensional, multilogical fashion, then you're going to be doing dialectical arguing, and you're going to come to a synthesis, and you're going to work through your differences, and you're both going to be better for it. In fact, this is extremely important for relationships, especially men and women when they're married, for family members, and for parents with their children. Being able to go into a dialectical discussion, an argument, and work through issues is very, very important. It is important to determine the willingness of others to remain objective and fair-minded. In order to discover whether or not the person we are attempting to dialogue with is objective and fair-minded in their thinking, Elaine and I choose to ask them a few questions about their perspective and/or delivery of their comment. I can see that you are triggered. What are you feeling and why? Have you researched such and such, and if so, what kinds of research have you done, and how much have you looked up? Do you consider yourself objective in your research, or do you feel you have a bias towards a specific outcome? What might those underlying biases be? Which alternative perspectives have you considered and entertained? What did you think of them? What were their strengths? What were their weaknesses? These are all just examples of how we can look at somebody that's leaving kind of an off-color comment and who we don't know is capable of a multilogical dialogue. We don't want to write everybody off right from the start. Now, there's certain people that there's just no reason to go into it. They have their mind made up, they're belligerent, they're angry, they're biased, they're attacking, they're psychologically transferring anger and shame onto you. You don't need to go into a dialogue with those people. But there are some people who are just a little triggered and upset, and we might be able to discuss things with them, but we have to determine whether or not they're even capable of such a discussion. Here's some questions for you for further reflection. Am I an exoteric, monological, sophistic, lazy, and answer-driven? Or am I more esoteric, multilogical, fair-minded, and question-driven? Exoteric being external, esoteric being internal. I ask myself questions, esoteric. Exoteric, I'm more answer-driven. God said I have to be obedient, so I obey. That's an exoteric perspective. Esoteric perspective isn't afraid to ask questions, even of God. What underlying biases and core assumptions am I making that may prevent me from being truly fair-minded in any given line of inquiry? For example, I'm afraid of going to hell. I can't question God. If I question God, I'm going to burn for eternity. If I question authority, I'll go to jail. So I'm not going to question anything because I just want to be a good person. If I question this, I might not get approval. If I question my wife, I might not get sex. There's all kinds of things and biases and assumptions that color our lines of inquiry. And so then we avoid that. You're like, well, if I'm a good boy, I get a prize. If I'm a good boy, my boss gives me a paycheck. If I'm a bad boy, I get fired. If I'm a good boy, my wife gives me sex. If I'm a bad boy, she nags. If I'm a good boy, I pay my taxes and my government thinks I'm an awesome citizen. If I don't, I go to jail and rot in jail. So these are things that can color our lines of inquiry. How willing am I to go into a dialogue with those who have differing opinions and viewpoints? And am I willing to consider them, or do I dismiss them? Am I a dismissive person? Am I a fair-minded person? Am I truly objective, or am I prone to getting into either-or arguments? Am I going to be fighting a lot of people over their perspectives? Am I truly trying to understand them, or am I trying to defeat them? Am I trying to contribute, or am I just being arrogant and judgmental? While there might be more questions to go into, these are a good starter right now. I'm Nathan Martin with the Divine Pollination Hive and the UnityProcess.com. If you liked the video, please click like. If you're not already a subscriber and you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. If you have any questions or would like to contribute to the dialogue, please leave a comment in the comment section below. Be safe, be sovereign, be well.